Hi, and welcome. Welcome to the Estate Planning and Elder Law Show, hosted by me, yours truly, Jeff Bellomo. Hope you're doing well out there today. We've certainly been putting out a lot of podcasts, and we have been having a lot of fun doing it. And we've been getting a lot of feedback recently. And one of the things that a lot of people have been kind of asking for is a personal show, is a more less technical, less legal, more about Jeff and his family and kind of the team structure and those kind of things. And we've talked about it, and I certainly don't mind doing that one bit. The demand became enough that I thought, what the heck? Let's go ahead and give the listeners what they're looking for. So today's podcast is going to be a little bit about me personally, and where I grew up, and kind of my background and where we are now and where we're headed. So I look forward to it. I do want to say, just like any other radio show, please don't take legal advice or make action because of this show or any other show for that matter. It's for informational and educational purposes only. Does not create an attorney-client relationship. If you're looking for advice, please seek out an attorney in the area that you live, in the state that you live in, an attorney who is licensed and kind of specializes in the area that you're looking for. If you're in Pennsylvania, we would be more than happy to assist you. You can reach us at 717-845-5390 or on the web at www.bellomoassociates.com. So let's get started. I am from Scranton, Pennsylvania. At least that's where I was born and raised. And spent several years there. That is where my mom and dad's family is both from. My dad is basically from the main street there, Ziegler Street in DuPont. My grandpa was the barber in town, and my mom's side was from Avoca, the main street there in Avoca. So probably, 2 miles apart, I would say. And one of my favorite things from back home or from where I grew up that I love is Old Forge Pizza. So for those of you who know me, you know that I am a huge fan of Old Forge Pizza, and currently residing in the York, Pennsylvania area. I am obviously not all that close to Old Forge, which is kind of in the Scranton, Wilkes-Barre area in Pennsylvania, but we are very lucky. I want to give a shout out to Jigsy's in Enola, Jigsys. They're in Enola. If you get a chance to go, it's one of my favorite restaurants in the entire world. The owners, Jigsy and Robin, will take care of you. They're two wonderful individuals, and certainly I've been friends with them since I went to law school at Widener. And so just give a shout out to Jigsy's and Old Forge style pizza in general. We moved from the Scranton area out to Ebensburg, Pennsylvania, when I was in second grade, and grew up in Ebensburg. Graduated from Central Cambria High School, had an incredible time there. Certainly enjoyed my schooling tremendously. Enjoyed all of the sports growing up. Certainly enjoyed the baseball, football. I even played basketball until high school, and I wrestled for about 13 years. Certainly a huge fan of wrestling. I still to this day go to the NCAA Wrestling Championships pretty much every year for Division I. Grew up in certainly a huge wrestling area, and one of my best friends growing up is Jody Stripmatter, who was a great wrestler for Cambria Heights, went on to wrestle for UPJ and then Iowa. And when I was in college, I would go out to Iowa to watch him wrestle, and certainly huge fan of him. Huge fan of the Iowa Hawkeyes, just rooting for him, cheering for him growing up as a kid, and still do to this day. I also a big fan of Penn State wrestling, certainly have become more recently, since Jody's not wrestling anymore, a fan of Penn State. And also Jody coaches a program, he and his brother John, called Young Guns. So I tend to root for all the Young Guns guys at Nationals. It's a lot of fun. Knowing that two of my good friends growing up, Jody and John, had a hand in a lot of wonderful wrestlers coming out. The number of All-Americans and national finalists and national champions that they have coached is just it's breathtaking. It's amazing, and what they've done is nothing short of incredible. So I love going and just kind of seeing how everybody's doing. From my hometown, Central Cambria, there's a wrestler called Max Murin who still wrestles for Iowa, and he's just a hard-nosed kid, and he just reminds me so much of that area and that mentality, and so it is fun watching him. He has one more year left, and certainly looking forward to seeing him All-American this year, and looking forward to seeing him on that podium. So that'll be really cool. But yeah, I still a huge fan of wrestling in general. It taught me a lot of great discipline growing up, and certainly a fan of all of those. And of course now with Bo Nickel trying to get a contract in the UFC and being on the Contender Series, I'm enjoying that as well. Most Penn State wrestling fans are probably well aware of that, but just watching him on that level is just incredible. Just some great athletes that come out of Penn State in that wrestling program. So nothing short of amazing. And also in high school, I was in the marching band and choir, and just enjoyed being a pretty well-rounded athlete and also a student. I was in some school plays as well, and then went to Juniata College. Had an incredible experience there. Met my wife on the first day of school. I signed her petition for government. She signed mine. And although we didn't date in college, we were certainly best friends, and just loved being around each other. Our senior year, we lived in a dorm called Pink, and there's about 24 of us that lived there that year. It's been a long time since we graduated, and yet we're still very close with pretty much everybody that was in Pink that senior year, and a lot of other people that we graduated with. And Juniata is just an incredible school. I love the area. I loved the just the beautiful scenery, the mountains. We would go mountain bike riding. We would be out on our bikes all the time. We'd go hiking. We'd go down to the lake. So just a beautiful area in general. And I did spend 1 year playing football there, and then decided that I wanted to kind of broaden my horizons a little, and was able to study abroad in York, England, which was just one incredible experience for me. The population of Ebensburg, I remember the car wash downtown saying it was like 3,902 or something. So, I mean, obviously we're going back to the 80s in my recollection, so I could be wrong, but very small town, very protected. So to then live in York, England, certainly incredible. I was very fortunate to be able to work at the White House as an intern. And at that time, I did have a clearance because I also worked at the National Drug Intelligence Center coming off of that. So it was just what a great time being able to do those two things, to get to meet the president and other individuals in the White House and experience that, and then go on to the first intern in the history of the National Drug Intelligence Center. And I was able to complete a domestic cocaine flow assessment and present it to NDIC and the management there, basically showing, based upon seizure information, how is cocaine coming into the country, how is it flowing throughout the country. And I was fortunate. I even got to go to the border for a couple trips that summer and watch the border agents and what occurs and what does a seizure look like at the border. And just incredible. Just an opportunity of a lifetime that certainly, I'm very fortunate and very lucky. And I think back on those days very fondly that a guy from Ebensburg was able to kind of do those things. So that was pretty cool. And then ultimately graduated from Juniata and went to Widener Law School in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And at that point, I was dating my wife, Whitney, and she was teaching in Dallastown School District. And when I graduated law school, it seemed pretty obvious that we were going to kind of stay in the York area. That's where Whitney is from. She went to West York High School. And also went to Juniata and came back right away and got a job at Dallastown as a first grade school teacher. and she has been there ever since. So I think she's like in her 23rd year now. So it's been incredible for her. She loves what she does. She loves her kiddos and loves her family at Leaders Heights. So it's just a wonderful thing. And ultimately, when I graduated, I had offers in the Pittsburgh area, but wanted to come back to York and stay close to where Whitney is. And ultimately, we got married the following year, and we've been married ever since. And just we're blessed. We have a child, a 13-year-old named Deanna, who is really into just music and her flute and singing and theater, and so it's just incredible. She's absolutely a huge fan of Broadway. In our old home before we moved, one of my wife's friends, who's an artist, drew a mural for her on her wall of all of the of my daughter's favorite Broadway shows. So it had everything on there that you could think of, that a kid would have. Annie, Matilda, Hamilton, Frozen, and I'm missing Lion King. I know I'm missing some, but certainly it was breathtaking. And then we ultimately moved and bought a house in Dallastown, which is where she goes to school. But it's just cool. She's really into all that, which I love.
Results from multiple sports. Which one would you like?
And we also love to scuba dive. So my daughter and I are both certified. And she's actually a junior master diver, which is extremely cool. And she just loves being under the water. It's something that we love to do together, which is wonderful. Last summer, we were able to go to Key West, and actually just the Keys in general, and just kind of went up and down the Keys and dove a different location every day with a dear friend of ours, Chelsea Richardson, who is a scuba instructor out of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And Deanna was able to get her junior master diver on that trip. And we're looking to go to Bonaire. We were supposed to have been there in January, and unfortunately we were getting ready to leave the country, and I tested positive for COVID. So that trip got scrapped. But we're looking to go back with Chelsea to dive and get Deanna back under the water and enjoy our time together. It's just breathtaking to be under there and to see the sights. And we were recently in the Bahamas, and as we were coming down the line, getting off the boat, there must have been 20 to 30 sharks below us. And it was just one of those moments where you take a deep breath and you think, oh man, like, whoa, and it was a lot of fun. There were nurse sharks and Caribbean reef sharks, and we just had a ball. And she just is in her element. We saw some rays and some other wonderful wildlife under the water. So it's just incredible to be down there with her and share those experiences with her, and look forward to seeing, where it takes her. It'll be cool to see what she ends up doing with it. So we also then graduated from law school and came right to York and got an offer for some firms in York. And I'll tell you, overall, I was very, very, very lucky with the firms that I got experience from, and just some great people, some great humans, great individuals. Ultimately, for me, I knew that I really wanted to specialize in the estate planning and elder law area. As I've told the story on this podcast, my mom was ill. We didn't have the answers to the questions, and I wasn't necessarily overly impressed with the legal profession and the ability to get answers without having to spend thousands and thousands of dollars, or forfeit your consult fee if you don't hire us. And I never enjoyed that. I never liked it. I didn't like the relationship that it created. And after being in practice for several years, working for other firms, I learned pretty quickly that I too did not want to do that, and that I wanted to try to change the industry. Frankly, that was my goal. And when I quit my job and went out on my own, I knew that I wanted my firm to be education based, so that families can get the answers to the questions that we didn't have. And my phrase that I always say is when you're in that hospital room in a crisis, that's not the time to learn the answers. The time to learn the answers is now. So we are offering at Bellomo and Associates free weekly workshops, estate planning, pre-planning, crisis planning, which is our Medicaid workshop, special needs planning, probate and trust administration planning as well. So pretty much every major area of estate planning and elder law, we have a workshop. Typically, they're around 2 hours. If you give us 2 hours of your time for the workshop, we give you an hour for a free consultation with one of our team members who will look at your specific fact pattern, take a look at the situation, tell you the price up front, tell you what it would be and what it would look like for us to assist you with that process. And then you get to decide, right? You get to decide if you want to work with us, if it's a fit, and not because we have $300 of your money that we're holding hostage. And we certainly like to tell you everything you need to know, sometimes probably too much, so that you can make an informed decision. We went out on our own on February 16th of 2009. So that's certainly a year that I remember because my daughter was born in June. And at the time that we went out on our own, Nate Platt was with me. Nate is a dear friend of mine. Ended up going back to the Pittsburgh area to be with his kids who were having some health issues. And so certainly still dear friends with Nate. Think about him often and think about, his family as well. So I totally give him credit for the fact that he gave me the confidence that I needed to go on my own back in 2009. I don't think I would have without him, honestly. I had some other opportunities from other attorneys, and I just didn't, at that point, believe in myself, didn't see the vision, and with Nate I did. And so, I'm always thanking him for giving me that courage and that kind of little push that I needed to go out on my own. Our first employee was Tammy Ely. Tammy joined us about 6 months after we went out on our own towards the end of 2009. And just recently, as of this Friday, in fact, and I am recording this. So this Friday, August 19th, actually, Tammy is going to be leaving the firm and heading to a dear friend of mine, Kevin Frankel, who was out in the kind of the Philadelphia area, to assist him. And, I can't thank Tammy enough. I did a separate video to thank her for, helping me starting from scratch, answering the phones, cleaning the toilets, doing whatever it took to where we are now, which is 24 employees. We have 2 locations in York and Lancaster. So certainly, we've come a long way, as they say. And I would not be where I am without Tammy. And I just would like to publicly thank her again and wish her nothing but the absolute best in her endeavors with Kevin, who's also a dear friend of ours. And certainly we stay very close with Kevin and will in the future. We both belong to an organization called Lawyers with Purpose. I joined that organization in 2009, which is exactly what I was looking for. The entire model is education-based. They teach the workshops. They teach the systems and processes around being able to assist people and individuals in the estate planning and elder law area. I'm still a member. I still believe wholeheartedly in the organization. A dear friend of mine is the owner, Dave Zampano. And, I always say I wouldn't be where I am without him and his teachings and the knowledge that I gained. I was really fortunate. I taught for him and for Lawyers with Purpose for about 5.5 years, teaching a program for them, which is legal technical, estate planning and elder law, trusts, Medicaid, and I taught with a dear friend of mine out of Indiana, Susan Hunter. Susan has since sold her practice and I believe is out in Mesquite, Wyoming now. So I just want to give Susan a shout out as well. We had a good run there for 5.5 years training lawyers. Enjoyed it. And, the one phrase that I always think of is, if you really want to learn something, teach it. And that is such a true statement. I learned so much about it by teaching, training lawyers and coaching lawyers over the past, 13 years that I've come a long way because of those experiences. And certainly because of Lawyers with Purpose and that national organization. So we will be staying, very close with Kevin and Tammy, and wish them nothing but the best moving forward. And we have an incredible team at Bellomo and Associates. As I said, we're at 24 team members, and it's important. Everybody on our team shares our core values. We all believe kind of in the same mission, which is to help, and what happened to the Bellomo family should not happen to yours. And everyone on the team has a story that brought us to where we are and why we do it. There's pretty much every team member that could go somewhere and make a lot more money, but they choose to stay because they believe in our clients and what we're doing for the Pennsylvania community and the elder law community in whole. So I'm just very proud of our team. And on another podcast, I kind of broke down the departments a little bit and talked a little bit about the different areas and how many team members we have in each. Today, I just want to say thank you to the team. Thank you for always believing in me and for pushing me to be the best version of myself. For those of you who know me, know that my wife and my daughter are my everything and why I do what I do in life, and just couldn't be happier and love being with them and spending time with them. And my father, Alan, as well, who still lives out in the Pittsburgh area, near my sister, Dina. Love him, love my sister, do anything for them, and love to see my dad, love to spend time with him. We lost my mom on December 28th of 2015. So, a day doesn't go by that I don't think of her and what she did for me in instilling so many lessons and just who I am today. I'm definitely a version of my mother. There's no doubt about it. And certainly gone way too quick. Losing her that suddenly was very difficult. But I know she's with us. I know that she assists us every day. And so I am very thankful for that. And love being able to spend time with my dad and my family, my sister Dina and my wife Whitney, and Dina's family and her husband Matt and everybody, and just love traveling. It's probably the one thing that we do a lot of is travel and try to see as much of the world as we can. My mom always said life is short, enjoy it, and certainly she passed at a very young age of 67, and so we certainly listen to her, and we definitely travel whenever we can. So oftentimes you'll see us or see pictures of our cruises or different things that we're doing. So that is kind of our time as a family, which I wouldn't replace it with anything. So I hope you enjoyed the podcast. As I said, a lot of you have requested to get to know us a little more intimate, kind of a little behind the scenes. So I wanted to open up today a little bit and kind of give you a little insight into who I am individually as a person. And I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was worth our time today. Look forward to our next podcast. And remember, please don't take any advice as legal advice. Please seek out an attorney if you have a specific situation that you're looking advice for. If you're in Pennsylvania, we'd love to help. 717-845-5390 or on the web, www.bellomoassociates.com. Thank you all for joining us today, and we'll see you real soon.